Welcome to the Startup Passport by eConsulate. Today I'm joined by Ton Rademaker. You are the co-founder of Avoxt.
Correct.
Thank you very much for joining. And would you mind telling us a little bit about the company itself?
Okay. Well, Avoxt is a company that is founded 2.5 years ago by Pascal and me. Pascal is a young guy. He's 25 years old. I'm 62 years old. And together we bring in enthusiasm and passion as well as some experience in large companies. We make electrolyzers to make green hydrogen as a tool to tackle climate change. We all know that climate change is a big burden towards the future for especially younger generations, and we make sure that we can very quickly change from fossil fuels to green hydrogen in different applications.
And at what stage would you say is the company right now?
If I can talk about TRL levels, something like 4 or 5. We have our proof of concept, and we're now scaling up to a somewhat larger system of about 200 kilowatts, which is big enough to put next to a few windmills and produce hydrogen that you can actually really use.
And you mentioned you're a co-founder before. Could you tell us a little bit about how this match between you and the co-founder happened? Obviously, you mentioned the age gap already. So was that something that you're also maybe actively looking for in a sense?
Well, let's say we met each other in a meet and match meeting of HyterXL, which is an accelerator in Eindhoven. There were a lot of old grey guys like me in that meeting, and he was one of the few younger guys, and he was looking for somebody who was matching him, and I was looking for somebody who was not like me. So from that perspective, we ran into each other and we got to talk, and we found each other interesting, and we shared a passion about, let's say, doing something really for the climate.
And is that also something that then fuels your, let's say, intrinsic motivation, so that you're really trying to do something good, let's say, environmentally as well, so that it's not only a company you're working on, but something that you believe in?
No, absolutely. I mean, let's say I would say I'm almost at the end of my normal career, and I've done a lot of things, but I would like to do something for my grandchildren. I have 3 grandchildren, 1, 4, and 7 years old. And in 50 years from now, there should be a world that they are able to live in, like, let's say, you, for instance. I mean, you also have a lot of years ahead of you, which need to be in a nice and comfortable environment. And let's say a livable world is good for all of us, and it will also make sure that there are less tensions in the world. So.
Are you then also trying to get some more attention on exactly that topic when you're with the company itself, or is it more about then the company itself?
Well, in the end, I mean, you make a company to have a economically viable system, right? So you cannot do it only because of your passion. The passion is the driver behind the company, but in the end, we have to make a profitable company. So we make electrolyzers that are more efficient than the current electrolyzers, and by doing that, we can very quickly change over from fossil fuels as a source for hydrogen to green sources like wind, solar, and water power. Having said that, why would you need green hydrogen? Because green hydrogen is, let's say, or let me say it differently. Hydrogen is now a feedstock in the chemical industry. 97% of that is made by fracking, natural gas. So that is a fossil fuel which brings in CO2 in the air, which is negative to the climate change. But we can already make green hydrogen, but it's too expensive at this moment. Nowadays you buy green hydrogen for 8 to 10 euros per kilo, while grey hydrogen is only 2 to 3 euros per kilo. So there's nobody in the chemical industry that will buy green hydrogen. So we have to make it much cheaper. So we do that by taking out the membrane from the electrolyzer, which makes the resistance much lower, and therefore we can have higher efficiency. We go from 60% in traditional electrolyzers to 80% efficiency in our electrolyzers, plus the fact that because there's no membrane, that we have much less maintenance. And because of that low maintenance, you can run the electrolyzer much more. You can be more flexible with, let's say, the variability in electricity that comes available from green sources, and therefore you have a much higher uptime, and therefore you can reduce your cost of your investment over much more hydrogen. So that makes it almost as cheap as grey hydrogen today if the electricity is free. And you can imagine that if you have a surplus of green energy, you can have free energy or free electricity. So we are very close already. The only thing is we have to still make it a little bit bigger. So at the end of next year, we will have something that is big enough to put next to a windmill.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because when would you say there could be a point where you have the current demand that you have right now, and then you have the green energy that is offered on? You mentioned it yourself. It's too expensive as for now. So when do you think could be a time period where this gap is bridged? That the green energy is affordable enough to for the demand that we have.
Well, if we have to wait for the current industry, it will take us 10 years, and I think we can do it in 5 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm. And this also leads us to the next steps that you're trying to have with the company. So you talked about more, not specifically long-term goals, but what are the steps that you're actively trying to take right now in this moment to make the company grow?
Well, at this moment we are with 6 people, so the 2 founders and 4 engineers. We need to grow to about 30 people to accelerate the scale up of the products. So we need more people, which means we need more money. So we are at this moment in a funding round where we want to bring in about 6 million euros. If we can do that, we can come to a much higher level of a much bigger size of product, and therefore we can more easily prove that it will work. And that is a big step towards an industrial size electrolyzer.
I think this will be very interesting to follow in the future. So thank you very much on the insights on the company, on Avoxt, and thank you for joining the interview today.
You're welcome.